everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started while Lynsey's doing her last minute touches here. Welcome to Hopkins County 1 Million Cups. This is an exciting morning. There's lots of people here. Lynsey brought an entourage, so that was good too. But you know, it takes a village, I guess. So she's got all her people here, and that's wonderful. Welcome. Do we have any first-time visitors? Raise your hand, Fisher. Yay! And I know, there's this guy here you may not recognize.
He's going to be the presenter.
I think he should. We should just make him get up. Mark Lee is one of our organizers, along with myself. And I guess we're the only two here today. But anyhow, we welcome Mark back. He's been on a long, long journey. It was supposed to be 3 weeks, turned into 5. He was in Guatemala. He was in Florida. He was anywhere else that we need to know about? He was all over the place, but we're so very happy to have you back, Mark. We missed you a lot. You were definitely, you missed all the snow, by the way.
Appreciate y'all sending bail money.
Isn't that something? Yeah. And also we have something else down here. Kevin Cotton, is this your first official day?
Yes.
As a free man? Okay, yeah. Kevin Cotton is the owner of Brothers Barbecue, and he lets us come here and do this every Wednesday morning and gives us free coffee, and we are so grateful for him. And today is his first day as a private citizen. He is no longer working for the fire department. He's going to be here.
Knowing Kevin, this might be April Fool.
Oh yeah, it is April Fool's Day, but everything I'm saying is true. So let's see. Let's get on with this. Without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Miss Lynsey Laskowski and Project Urbivore. I've been practicing all morning and then I messed up. Project Urbivore.
Okay, so did you know that there are over 313 million people living in the U.S.? Who knew that? Show of hands. And did you know of that population, less than 1% claim farming as an occupation? Right? And did you know that of that 1%, less than 45% claim farming as their principal occupation? And of those people, 60% of the farmers in this country are 55 years old or older. It's a little bit shocking, right? The system, no, is not bad. System is broken. In their 2012 report, the Global Commission on Sustainable Agriculture and Climate Change states that humanity faces difficult trade-offs in producing sufficient food to feed our growing population and stabilizing our climate system. Globally, our food system is not sustainable and does not provide adequate nutrition to everyone on the planet. And at the same time, the changes to our climate threaten the future of farming as we know it. Agriculture is both part of the problem and part of the solution to climate change. We must seize every opportunity to shift away from inefficient farm practices, supply chains, and diet choices towards long-term sustainability, profitability, and health. The system is broken. On a planet with sufficient food for all, 1 billion people go hungry, and another 1 billion overconsume, increasing the risk from chronic diseases. The food system faces additional pressure as the global population grows to around 9 billion by 2050. And as diets shift to higher consumption of calories, fats, and animal products, food insecurity afflicts communities throughout the world wherever poverty prevents assured access to food supplies. As well as causing widespread human suffering, food insecurity contributes to degradation and depletion of natural resources, migration to urban areas, and across borders, and political and economic instability. Global food prices have risen dramatically in the last few years and are forecast to rise further and become more volatile. The system is broken. A food swamp is somewhere where with easy access to food, but that access is either overwhelmingly to unhealthy options or to supermarkets with subpar quality food. And maybe the food deserts aren't real in NYC, but food swamps are. As minorities become a larger majority in the city, but are socioeconomically limited to where they can live, they'll probably continue to live in these same ghettos. So that means that more New Yorkers in the future will probably be living in food swamps. And the city's obesity rate will continue to climb. And along with it are diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and mortality rates. The system is broken. The New York Times states, farmers bear only a portion of the blame for greenhouse gas emissions in the food system. Only about 1/5 of the food system's energy use is farm-related. Only about half of food's total greenhouse impact comes from farms. The rest comes from processing, transportation, storage, retailing, and food preparation. Foods that are minimally processed in season and locally grown, like those available at farmers markets and backyard gardens, are definitely the most climate friendly. The system is broken. The global population is increasingly urban. This has implications for land use, food production systems, access to food, and potentially civil unrest. In crowded cities, food security is weakened by the lack of nutrient-rich, suitable soil, as well as growing space for local families. All together now.
The system
is broken.
So, I propose a new one. I'm Laskowski, founder of Project Urbivore, a division of LAI Products, and I'm here to share with you the why, the how, and the what of Project Urbivore. Project Urbivore is an organization dedicated to facilitating urban agriculture and raising awareness of sustainable food system practices. We are creating farms out of thin air. So a year ago, when I started working with LEI, we began to develop a series of soils and fertilizers from locally sourced biomass waste. You've heard a little bit about that from my dad already. These revolutionary methods created incredible yields in the vegetable garden, even during our somewhat fumbling testing phase. I loved going outside and getting to pick my lunch straight from the garden. It was amazing. But then I went home to New York. Okay. So living in an urban environment for the last 8 years has been really wonderful for some reason, but really terrible for fresh food accessibility. So while I recently made the move to Brooklyn, which is a little bit easier, I definitely spent the first 7 years of my New York stay in Harlem, which is one of the aforementioned food swamps. The contrast between Garden Fresh in Kentucky and Garden Fresh in New York. So I thought, what can I do to bring this home with me? What do New Yorkers have access to? Definitely not backyards for the most part. Most people don't have any access to rooftops. Some people might have a fire escape if nobody finds out they're putting stuff on it. But what can I do? So I thought about community gardens. I looked one up in my neighborhood. I was really excited about it. They had a great organization. And then I found out there was a very long waiting list for even just a small bed. So that didn't work. I joined a CSA, which is awesome, and we have a rep from an awesome CSA that's local, and you definitely should check them out. It was really, really great. I enjoyed the fresh local food, and I got to know some really great people, but I was missing out on that personal element of being able to grow food, and I wanted to feel like I was contributing to the environment. So what could I, a New York resident with zero access to outdoor space, do to recreate a home garden experience? Maybe it was the summer heat, or maybe it was still a small voice in my head, but I did hear the answer loud and clear. Air conditioner brackets. Okay, seems weird, right? But air conditioners are the one thing that New Yorkers are allowed to put in their windows. And that's really our only access to the outside once we get in our houses. So why, I thought, couldn't I use those brackets to attach something else to the window? So, meet the Project Urbivore grow bed. There are 2 available sizes. This is the smaller of the 2. They install similarly to window air conditioning units. You put in the arm first, and then you drop in the box. then you fill it with soil, and then you plant. So it's not super complicated installation. The sizing is similar, and the appearance is similar even from the outside. This has a little bit of black on it, but they'll all be a lighter color. From the, the smaller unit, this unit has almost 3.5 square feet of grow space and a 12-inch soil depth. The larger unit has a little over 5 square feet of grow space. So you can grow even root vegetables. You're going to get a good result with, this is a fledgling tomato plant, but as you can see, there's plenty of room to actually grow. So we're definitely creating farms out of thin air here. Once I realized that, my mind kind of exploded with the possibilities. I got really excited. By installing these beds in just my own apartment, I would be creating about 26 square feet of farmland. 26 square feet. Seriously, that's huge. For me. It may be laughable here where you have land to spare, but in the city, or even a place to put one pot is a big deal. Access to outside at all, that's huge. So we are creating farms out of thin air. So I thought, what if I added the units just to my neighbors on my floor? How much land would that be? And then upstairs and downstairs and the buildings next door. It goes on and on and on, and eventually the concrete jungle starts to look more like a real jungle. And let's just talk about the aesthetic value, right? Because the units are the size, shape, and color of air conditioners, the only change to what you typically see in that urban landscape is the foliage growing out of the top of them. And then from the inside, the only thing you're going to see is this arm locked over the inside of the window. And then you created your own garden view. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, a garden view in New York, a green view is huge. It's a serious commodity. And having a green view is a big plus, right? But it's not necessarily the most important thing. The biggest thing for me and our concern with Project Urbivore is food. By having my own 26 square foot garden, I get to initiate some serious sovereignty back into my food choices. And here's what it could look like, just for example. This is a great garden fair, and I'll give you guys the link later if you want. It's awesome. Because the turbo soil from LEI Products comes in the units, the expected yields are also incredible. So it's not going to feel puny and uncontrolled like some things. And you can check out some of the time-lapse photos of before and afters and comparisons with LEI on YouTube if you want. I'll give you that link later too. Another benefit of the soil that's included is that it contains biochar. Biochar is basically, for the soil, what the coral reef is to the ocean. It's an extremely porous material, and even a gram, when you spread it out, covers the surface area of about a football field. So within these tiny pores, we're going to get beneficial microorganisms thriving. We're going to have valuable plant nutrition be held in place instead of leaching into the groundwater, the runoff. We're going to have more water retention for less water waste. We're going to get filtration of toxins. We're going to get carbon sequestration, which if you don't already know, is part of offsetting the greenhouse effect. So now we're to this issue. It's no secret that global warming is a real and relevant discussion. And whether or not you agree that it's global warming or just climate change, we are definitely noticing effects on our daily lives, and it is scary. So here are some of the ways that we are being affected. Here we are again, food. The prices are rising because of extreme weather events, making for volatile yields. And additionally, there are several crops facing extinction. I didn't know this, and this scared me a lot, including corn, coffee, chocolate, seafood, maple syrup, beans, cherries, wine grapes, so you can toast your champagne goodbye. And speaking of extinction, the Center for Biological Diversity tells us that if we stay on our current trajectory, if we stay on this trajectory, we could see a third of plant and animal species extinct by 2050. So that means a 70% extinction by the end of the century. 70% of plant animal species could be eradicated in 2 generations. That possibility is really sad and really terrifying to me. We could also see coastline damage if the climate warms up 2 to 3 degrees. By 2100, the global sea level will rise 3 feet, displacing almost 56 million people. We could see more extreme weather events, which we're obviously already seeing. One of those is drought. So if we have more droughts, that means we're going to have more fires. The EPA predicts that if the Earth warms another 3.6 degrees, wildfires in the western U.S. will burn 4 times more than they currently do. We could see building structural issues. The soil dries out, it affects the building's foundation. We could see swarming of insects and higher population as temperatures stay warmer. We could see disruption in our lumber industry and our timber supply if forests are threatened. For example, the famous Scandinavian forests are threatened. So that's going to disrupt our furniture industry. Things like that you don't think of. A huge one is health. We could see differences in our health. Higher temperatures, we would see higher summer heat, death tolls, more skin cancers, poor heart health, more allergies, dangerous bacteria growth, and more widespread disease outbreaks. And the global climate change also, really importantly, takes its toll on us via financial impacts. So as damage to property and infrastructure, lost productivity, mass migration, and security threats, coping costs, and higher insurance costs. So now for the bad news. Just kidding, that was all bad news. It's cool. I don't know about you, but regardless of what is or isn't, what will or won't, personally, I'd like to stay as far away from even the potentials of those things as possible, right? Via the production and application of biochar, we can not only avoid the progression of these effects, but we can actually to begin reversing them. The International Biochar Initiative states that even in a conservative scenario, I need more coffee, using only 27% of the world's crop and forestry waste for biochar, we could sequester 0.25 gigatons of carbon a year by the year 2030 with biochar alone. If the energy co-product of biochar production is used to offset the fossil fuel use, then the carbon offset potential of biochar more than doubles to 0.6 gigatons of carbon by 2030. So what that means is, instead of allowing crop and forestry waste to decompose and contribute to greenhouse gas, we should put it to use for the production of biochar. Ideally, we should take it one step further and effectively use the heat produced in the biochar manufacturing process. Shameless plug. For anyone still confused, it's Google Bioburner produced by LEI Products in Knoxville. Seriously. I just want to say that this is not a statement about, nor a reflection on the state of the global fossil fuel energy industry. Rather, a call to action to make better choices across the board when it comes to our consumption and production habits. Traditional fossil fuel-based systems and green energy systems don't have to be mutually exclusive, but we must become more conscious. The system is broken, so I propose a new one. Many low-income consumers are enrolled in the SNAP program. Have you guys heard of this before, SNAP? It used to be known as food stamps. So SNAP benefits do well to increase food security, but until efforts of recent years, the quality of food available in local environments of most SNAP participants has been of poor quality. Thanks to the efforts of an organization called Grow NYC, SNAP benefits are now accepted in over 50 green markets around New York City. The green markets are our farmers markets. That's where our local farmers bring their product.